Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Books and Books right here in the cultural heart of Coral Gables. We really appreciate you being here this evening. While you are silencing your cell phones, please take a look at our Books and Books newsletter. This will give you a synopsis of all the wonderful events we have at Books and Books every night of the week. We've got events for everyone. We've got Spanish events. We've got kids events. As I say, there's something for everyone. Many of them now being live streamed through the internet, as you can see by the lights and cameras here in the store. And you will see that there are some cameras pointed at the crowd. So I will say, for your benefit and for theirs, please make sure you are sitting next to who you're supposed to be sitting next to. So I encourage you to take a copy of this, go online, give us your email address if you'd like to do that as well, and we can send you all the information you'll ever need so you don't miss anything. And while we love to have you here in the store, of course, you don't need to be. If you prefer to watch online, you can always call the store at the number on the screen, and you can order an autographed copy of the book from the author. We'll ship it to you anywhere free of charge in the United States, or we'll hold it for you here in the store. But tonight we have a great treat in store for you with Oscar Fuentes and his collection of poetry, 4 Nights with Betsy. But here to introduce him is his friend and colleague and a dear friend of Books and Books. Please give a warm welcome to Vanessa Garcia.
Hello. I'm going to read a little introduction, but first I'll say that the last time I saw Oscar, or near to the last time I saw Oscar, he was writing poetry at my sister's wedding. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. People would come up to him, as you've seen him. He puts up his little word stand, and they'd come up to him and ask him for, give him 3 words or 4 words. Was it 3 words? 3 words. And he would come up with a love poem. And every time everybody opened up those little pieces of paper, they just started to sort of shine. And I think that's a real gift. So I'm going to say thank you now. And I will read the introduction to his. This is what I wrote after I read his book that he'll be reading from today. Okay. As a writer born and raised in Miami, I read 4 Nights with Betsy and felt immediately that the central character, Betsy, was the neon pink and wave crash city of my birth. She sings through Oscar's poetry and prose and often grins, but sometimes she grinds her teeth at him. She lifts her skirt and lets him see her past, the history of migration, snowbirds gone south, and southern cacti stretching their needles towards the border, eventually making their way to the seaside of the magic city, where nearly half of the dry needles turn to blooming buds and half of them die from the humidity. In Oscar's writing, we have women laughing so hard they release gas. We have the hard-boiled stories of ex-strippers that sound like they've slept with the ghost of Hunter S. Thompson. We have women whose eyeliner extends past the line of their natural eyes and twists in stories that tell us we don't know half the story. We learn that kissing in Wynwood is both dangerous and beautiful, and that in order to see ourselves in water, we must first look back at the loves that make up our lives. These are the stories of a monotonous island, our island. Every man is one, and no man is one. It's hard to tell in our existential moments which is more true. Thank goodness there's Betsy to navigate the island with grace, gloom, love, and doom. Thank goodness there's Oscar to sweep across the page with a bristle broom made of palm fronds and history, her story. Thank goodness our local poet laureate, the Biscayne poet, can extend his hand so easily toward the sky and tip his hat at the universal, bringing Miami to the center of the world to meet and greet with the best of them. Oscar, come on up and do your thing.
All right. Test 1, 2. Thank you so much for Vanessa. Thank you. This is a dream come true, actually. Just to be here, it's surreal to see you guys sitting in front of me, to be standing behind this, to have my friends around me, and this collection of writings that were accumulated just living, right? Sometimes our writings are just an accumulation of what we live, right? Our experiences. And Miami gives you that stage, that setting for you to experience a lot. And I'm excited to be here to share what I've experienced. Staying at the Betsy was definitely a moment for me to detach and complete and finish and start a lot of these poems and short stories. And you're in for a treat with that book. I'm very excited for the work in it, and I'm very excited that everyone's excited about it. That's really exciting. So we're going to open up this this night with a request that has been the request of the year and the end of last year as well, which is a performance piece to bless the space. A performance piece that you probably have heard before, and if you haven't, then you're in for a treat. It's called Fish Hooks. And I know Paloma knows this very well. And these guys are going to play some music along with the poem. Algo suave, algo suavecito. So here I am, outside my house, catching some fresh air. And right before my very eyes, quietly, silently, 1,000 flowers are blooming all around me. I run back inside the house, and even the floor is blooming. It's all unusual. New, tender, pink, moist. I give her a kiss and a hug, hello. And above her head, in the glass sky, the moon hangs blue and fragrant, as if hanging from some invisible branch. I point at the moon and say, look, our moon. She looks at the moon and smiles. Then she looks at me and I smile, melting inside. I'm in my room, she's sitting on my bed, I'm on the floor, my arms are on her legs, my head in her lap, and we're both quiet. Silence. I can hear my pulse. I feel that everything that defines me in space is melting, vanishing. I'm a crystal dissolving in her lap. I'm getting smaller, larger, wider, off the scale because she's no longer herself. She's the whole universe. And for 1 second, her and my bed and the floor and the blooming flowers of our love shot through the sky and hit the moon with joy. We are one. All that is in me, with me, listening to the beating of my pulse and flying across the blessed second. I tried to tell her in stupid, confused, drowned words that I'm a crystal and that is why the door is in me and that's why I can hear how happy the chair is, but such nonsense comes out and I stop talking. I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed. So I tell her, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm talking such nonsense. And then she tells me, Oscar, what makes you think nonsense is bad? If they nurtured and cared for human nonsense the way they did with intelligence throughout the ages, then nonsense would be something of special value. And for nonsense alone, Oscar, for what you did yesterday at the bay, I love you even more. She took my face, all of me, between her palms. She lifted my head up, sweet, sharp, white teeth, and then another smile. In the open space of my room, she was like a bee. She had both honey and a sting. There's a stupid smile in my face. I look into her eyes, now one, now the other, seeing myself in each. I'm tiny, minuscule, locked inside her talking eyes, then more bees, lips, all the sweet pain of blooming. Inside each of us, there's an invisible metronome that's ticking away quietly. And you never have to look at a clock to know the exact time to within 5 minutes, but our metronomes had stopped. We didn't know how much time had passed by, and time had passed by. We only had 20 minutes, but minutes, what are they? Short, stumpy, little things that come so fast and quiet. We were now running. I had so much to tell her, all of myself, but the love letter I had written for her, but the beauty of my childhood, about my first day of elementary school, about my love for writing and for music, about my father and his love for bees. But she was already dressed and kissing me goodbye. For 1 second, the whole length of her body touched me. I wanted to hold on to her tight and never let go. She walks to her car, and I see that familiar movement of hers, my eyes wanting to pop out of my face, following her, begging her to stay. I'm alone now, and all that is left of her is the 100 kisses she left on my body, the print of her bare feet on my floor, her perfume lingering in my room, the disappearing wings on my back that slowly bring me back down to the floor. That and the hint of the yellow pollen of certain flowers that grow only when she's next to me. That and the questions. The questions that stick in me. Like fish hooks. All right. Thank you. Pueden tomar un descansito. Gracias. All right, I'm going to read a few poems from the book, and then I have a couple of my friends that have volunteered to read also a few pieces from the book. So it's going to be interesting to hear different voices reading from the book. My son is in the room, so when I say hello to Marcos, say Marcos. All right, this first poem I'm going to read is called There Are Rainbows in the Splashing. There are rainbows in the splashing of seawater. The rough and soft movements of sudden peace takes me down under the depth of this shallow bay, and I become a sea current that cleans the seaweeds that are dirty. And what do you know? As a current of the sea, as salty as a sea current might be, I become an element of the mass, and I am free, and I'm everywhere, even in the rainbows that form in the splashing. She knew there was nothing more romantic than kissing under the moonlight. She entered the room demanding my attention. She looked through my eyes and I was naked. She wore everything tight and I know that's why I looked. She controlled me with her smile, her wicked smile. She looked deep in my eyes and I became her servant. She had no shame. She had no name that could describe her magic. She kissed me and searched with her tongue behind mine. She wore her claws well hidden. She was slowly taking over the world. She would turn all red lights green. She could undress a man with her eyes and then leave. She appeared and reappeared in my dreams for days. She had a sweet voice when she whispered. She had a soft touch as her hands would gently touch. She didn't really care what other women thought of her. She knew there was no competition. She had the upper hand on everything seductive and lustful. She had impeccable timing. She had the moon in her pocket. She was hard to impress. She wore men on her arm like jewelry. She never showed her soft side. She was cold but warm inside. She never followed anyone. She was everything he had. She didn't know what she had done to him. She wore everything red. She always wore a dress. She could never wait to undress. She knew everything had its time and place. She knew there was nothing more romantic than kissing in the moonlight. This one's called Light. The fire truck made a right turn on my street. I kept my distance behind it. I was wondering whose house was on fire. No smoke. 1 block, 2 blocks. There was an ambulance parked outside my house. I heard sirens in the area. The fire truck stopped right in front of my house. I parked, got off, and asked one of the firefighters what was burning. He said no fire, just a Hispanic male found dead in his living room. What house? The yellow one, he said, pointing at my house. At that time, 2 paramedics walked out of my front door with a bed on wheels and a body inside a black bag. Wait! I screamed and ran to take a look at the body inside the bag, my heart racing. I unzipped the bag. Slowly I looked, and in slow motion, the memories of my life started playing in my mind's eyes, surreal like a Maya Deren film, and in every corner of my memories, I saw Lady Death following me with her mirror face and her long black dress covering her feet, a key slowly falling and spinning in the air, a distant drum, water dripping upon a stone, a yellow light flickering in a hallway. Lonely. A green glass wall that gets confused with the floor. Lady Death again getting closer, slowly. Her mirror face almost catching my reflection. The key again spinning and falling without landing. The distant drum. Water dripping. Light flickering. Green glass floors. Walls. Her mirror face. Key. Water. Drum. Light. All right, this one's called You Don't Know Half Our Story. Maybe things will be better in Wynwood. Maybe things will be better in Chicago. Who knows? There will be a time when I will have to board that plane, train, or boat. Maybe things will be better in Honduras. It takes a well-raised man to always know what is wrong, right? Maybe I'm the only man driving on the turnpike feeling so antique. It takes a raised right poet like myself to be able to get away with so many things in this dart. And I speed away from this island with so many fakes testing their fates. It only makes a man like me a bit anxious, and I just want to run, 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 run. Why is it that every time she and I want to say something, we end up speaking at the same time and thinking at the same time and needing at the same time and asking for silence at the same time and making love at the same time until she ends up speaking first and brings the X up? So are you not over her or what? Her question is valid. I'm so over her, it's not even funny. But she goes on this rant about me not being over my ex. And she goes on and on and on and on and on that I have to stop her. Listen, you don't know half the story between us. You have no idea what happened between her and me to assume and continue assuming. So if you please, drop it. It had just started to rain a little. I was walking her to her car. As she held onto my arm, we walked in silence. Her car was right around the corner of the street. She pressed the remote control key and her car lights turned on, beeped, and unlocked. She turned to kiss me and I kissed back, and the rain felt good falling on our faces. And the kiss, in a way, was saying so many things like, I'm sorry I brought her up. I'm sorry I had to cut you off and put you in your place. I like you still. Yeah, I like you too. I wish I didn't have to go. I wish I would stay the night. Yeah, but at the Betsy, they won't allow me to have you spend the night. Yeah, it's a stupid rule. Yeah, but I need to be writing and not making love to you. But oh, do I want to make love to you? You will, tomorrow, and into the new year. Okay. All right. This was called Hot Flesh. In the monotonous island where she works at a historic hotel, by day she daydreams of escaping to see him, even if it's just for an instant. In the monotonous island, the neon lights are nothing special or romantic. In the monotonous island where she waits and goes to her bed with her voluptuous body, on fire with desire of the skin on skin, all her magnificent youth, all her beautiful youth in a breathtaking intensity. She takes care of her own pleasure, and in the erotic story playing in her mind, she possesses the figure and hot flesh she craves. All right, this one's called Olympic Memories. I've seen 2013 come and go, leaving in me an imprint I will always remember. Relationships made of honey and sunsets with body parts opening like orchids. Endless summer nights battling the love equation, and as if crossing a river, hopping from stone to stone, we went from lesson to lesson, visualizing the future. Resolution after resolution. I was a witness in every motion displayed. Ah, those moonlit nights were something special. Creatively, confessing the blues to the moon, recitations of memorized poetry, sitting on the beach, feeling thankful for Biscayne Bay, for making my navigation in poetry a dance in the sea of love. Yeah, spring arrived in early December, and it's been blooming flowers ever since we kissed in Wynwood. Graffiti walls mapping our ways, and priorities were being checked in like coats. I said priorities were being checked in like coats. Yeah, there were some big steps involved all the way, especially on those sleepless nights romancing the muse, writing it down, making it count, stamping the honest truth, confessing it, smiling it, and into the new year, I'm going to carry this torch like an Olympian determined to win. Like an Olympian determined to win. Determined to win. All right. This one is called Rusted Tears. The wrecking ball looked like a pendulum, swinging side to side, knocking down the graffiti walls by the train tracks, muting the white noise coming from I-95. It pounded and pounded, swinging and knocking down the graffiti walls by the train tracks. Maybe tomorrow when they water the debris, the pendulum will have stopped and the wrecking ball no longer reckless. But if you put your ear to the tracks, you can hear the machine coming or going. And if you watch where the tracks become one over there in the distance, you'll notice the wild-eyed men escaping the wild-hearted women. As they wave their frying pans at them, you'll even hear them screaming and asking them for more of their souls. The dirt in the ground knows more than we think. Oh, if the dirt could talk, we could hear complaints about the reckless ball making a ruckus. You'll hear about the midnight train and about the pain it usually carries, about the circus wagons filled with cages, and about the tattooed women with rusted tears, missing the freak that got away that one night in the rain. All right. Awesome. So I am going to invite a couple of my friends here to read from the book as well. So I think we're going to start with Rio, and then we're going to go with Josh, and after Josh, we'll go with William. So you guys can come after each other. So, yes, great. Mhm.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? I didn't bring my copy of the book. Woe is me. You signed it and everything. Is it the one in Spanish? I've never read this before. I'm kidding. I love Oscar's poetry. I've always loved his. Is this a podium? Is this a lectern or a podium? Like, he deals in that space between where it doesn't matter if it's a lectern or a podium. It's a tall table and we can put stuff on it. And that's what his poetry kind of does. There is one of these, what do you call them? There we go. Yeah, there's no pagination though on the... I won't lie to you. I'm on my medicine. I had to medicate in order to talk in front of a bunch of strangers on the World Wide Web. Come on, there's a worm in a bottle here somewhere. Ah. Oh, this is harsh. If you know this story, being on either side of the fence, respectively, is really terrible. Being on both sides of the fence at once is even worse. It's called Worm in the Bottle. I walked into our hotel room and I could hear Maria in the shower. The room was not bad. A medium-sized kitchen, a small dining room, a small living room with a sofa, flat-screen TV, coffee table, and a wooden chair. Not bad at all. Walked into the bedroom and 2 large windows showed you the infinity of the ocean. A beautiful, breathtaking view. You could see the windsurfers playing with the waves. A cargo ship sliding away over there at the end of it all. There was a wooden dresser with a wide, tall mirror, a small table next to the bed with a bottle of mezcal on top of it. Next to the bottle was this small plastic cup with sliced limes, a salt shaker, and 2 shot glasses. I served myself a shot, put some salt on the palm of my hand, squeezed a piece of lime into the shot glass. I heard Maria turn off the shower. I licked the salt off the palm of my hand and took the shot right after. Maria came out of the bathroom with her pink towel-like robe on. She looked very sexy. Her robe was short. Very short. Almost like a mini skirt robe. I gave her the "I want you" look. She gave me the "come and get it" look. I started to undress, and while I did that, Maria walked over to the small table and served herself a shot. Drank it down without salt or lime. I was now naked and under the sheets. You could see my friendly ghost sticking up, making a tent out of the flowery blanket. Maria unleashed the robe and climbed in next to me. We fell asleep after sex, and when we woke up, it was already dark outside. We looked out from the window, and it was still there, the immense ocean and the moon sneaking up slowly. Maria looked at me and started to laugh. She was laughing hysterically. God, she laughed so much that she even released gas. That's when I started to laugh. When she released little bits of gas that made noise, we could look at each other and laugh. We would look out the window and laugh, 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 laugh. God, we felt so happy laughing. For the past 3 months, Maria and I had been having horrible arguments. Most of them my fault. We would both annoy the shit out of each other, and one of us would always end up leaving the house for a few hours. The arguments always got loud and nasty. By the middle of them, I would always end breaking something. A mirror, a plate, a coffee mug, a broomstick, or just about anything breakable that was right there within the reach of my hand. But now, we were okay. Laughing naked in bed. No arguments. No screaming. No hatred. Only love. Love and pleasure. In 15 minutes, I was dressed and perfumed. Maria wasn't dressed, and her hair was not done. I figured it would take her an hour to get ready. So I decided to go downstairs to the lobby and ask about local bars with live music. Before I left the room, I reached over to the little table and took hold of the mezcal bottle and a shot glass. I poured the mezcal into the shot glass. I noticed a dead yellow worm floating at the bottom of the bottle. I took the shot, and I told Maria I was going to be back in a few. I was now in the lobby, and the man behind the check-in desk was the same man that had checked us in earlier. There was now a woman next to him. She had dirty blonde hair and a tight green dress that was very long. It went all the way down to her ankles. I approached them. "Mr. Fuentes, how may I help you?" "Know of a good place to eat, have a few drinks, live music?" "Oh, La Cantina Negra around the corner. It's a very nice place," the woman responded. "Yes, Mr. Fuentes, that's the place where the beautiful Sophia performs," said the man, pointing at her and looking at her with puppy eyes. "Really?" I said, feeling a bit curious. "Yes, Mr. Fuentes, if you go tonight, I will dedicate the show to you and your wife." "Oh, that would be very kind of you. I'm sure we'll enjoy it," I said to her. She looked deep into my eyes as if looking for something. I could tell she didn't want the guy to find out she was looking at me the way she was. I gave no reaction to her staring. "Well then, thank you, Sophia. At what time does the show begin?" "At 10. The show begins at 10 p.m., the man responded. "Sounds good. See you both at 10. I left them alone. I went back to the room, and Maria was beginning to blow dry her hair. I sat on the edge of the bed next to the dead worm, took off my shoes, and looked out the windows. The full moon, the large windows, Maria blow-drying her hair, the towel that covered her breasts, her hair that hung all the way down to her thick, tan thighs, half her ass uncovered, her dark, long, sexy legs, her staring at me through the mirror. I felt happiness. Maria was almost done drying her long, black strips of hair. I looked at the worm inside the bottle. I stared at it for a moment. With my thoughts, I tried to communicate with the dead insect, but there was no reply. Then I turned my head and looked at Maria's legs. I looked at her curves. Then I looked at her legs again. And then my eyes focused on her beautiful round ass. I stared at it for a moment. I started getting excited. I kept on looking at it. Then I screamed, "I'll eat you too, just like the worm!" Maria jumped. "What the hell was that?" she asked, laughing. "Oh no, don't mind me. I'm just talking to myself here while I wait," I said to her, smiling. I turned to look at the bottle, grabbed it, poured some mezcal onto the shot glass, brought the shot glass to my lips and drank it down. Served myself another and poured one for Maria. I drank mine in one gulp. Maria drank hers in two. Maria finally dressed and perfumed. She looked good. She had gotten dressed to impress. She was wearing a tight, glittering black short dress with black 6-inch heel shoes. I served myself 2 more shots, and the goddamn worm was still there at the bottom of the bottle. I grabbed the key of the room and walked out. She followed me. I locked the room and started toward the lobby. Maria followed me. We didn't say a word to each other on our way to Cantina Negra. We just walked in silence, holding hands. At Cantina Negra, we were sitting on these comfortable brown leather chairs with wooden arms. Our table was round with a white tablecloth over it. We sat 3 tables away from the stage and 1 table away from the middle aisle. There was a long bar next to the entrance of the place. On stage, you could see a drum set, 3 microphone stands, a trumpet inside an open trumpet casing, a pair of conga drums, maracas, and a small man in a pink suit was working on the sound check. The waiter came to our table and Maria ordered 2 margaritas and the waiter went to get them. The musicians started tuning their instruments loud. I looked at my watch and it was already 10. The small man in the pink suit stood behind the main microphone stand in the center of the stage. He adjusted the stand so that the mic would be right there in front of his lips. Then he spoke. The waiter came back with our drinks. "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to La Cantina Negra. Tonight we have an excellent show for everyone. Please feel at home and feel free to get up from your seats and dance to the rhythm of our beautiful Sofia." The musicians started beating and blowing on their instruments. The music was loud. It sounded like mambo music. Then from stage left, Sofia came out wearing a feathery dress. Beautiful. Just plain beautiful. She walked up to the small man in pink, gave him a kiss on the cheek. He adjusted the mic stand for her and walked off. She raised her arms up in the air, making a V. The musicians simultaneously stopped their playing. Sophia took hold of the cordless mic and snapped it out of its stand. She began to sing softly without the musicians. Sophia must have been about 25 years old. Her legs were long, thick, and firm. Her voice was very much like the voice of Ella Fitzgerald, enchanting, sexy. God, I couldn't take my eyes off her. All I wanted was to take a hot bath with her next to a giant window overlooking the ocean. A bottle of Dom Perignon, Esther Phillips playing softly, and a nice thick sponge to slowly scrub those sexy legs. Love, love. I had fallen in love and no one knew a thing. I could feel Maria staring at me. I looked at her, then she said, "Close your mouth, will you? You look ridiculous with your mouth opened." I left my mouth open for a little more just to bother her, then closed it. Sophia, the exotic singer, sang a set of 10 songs and then came the break. Maria and I had drunk 3 margaritas and we were now ready to eat. Maria signaled the waiter and he came running to our table. We ordered our food. I had caught him staring at Maria a couple of times and I had also caught Maria giving him the eye. But I had decided not to say anything. Maria and I were nicely drunk and an argument would have just spoiled it all for us. The waiter came to our table with the food, 2 chicken quesadillas and 2 more margaritas. Do they have that here? Sorry. Maria got up to go to the washroom. She went into this hall where the restrooms were. Our waiter followed her in the hall. I pushed my plate of food to the side and gulped down my margarita. "Hey there, Mr. Fuentes," Sophia said to me as she slipped into Maria's chair. "Sophia, bravo, beautiful voice. You're truly talented," I said to her, not really knowing what else to say. "Where's your wife?" she asked. "Oh, the washroom." Do you have a pen with you, Mr. Fuentes? Yes, here. She took one of my paper napkins and started writing down numbers. This is my room number, she pointed out on the napkin. And this is the time I want you to come see me. Your wife should be asleep at that time. Yes, she should be, but Sophia, listen. Don't say anything, Mr. Fuentes. I hope you can make it. See ya, she said, getting up from Maria's chair. Watched her walk up to the stage. I grabbed the napkin and I took a close look at it, folded it in half and put it away in my pants pocket. I had to meet her at 5 a.m. in room number 32. I turned my head towards the hall where the washrooms were and noticed the waiter walk out of there drying his face with a napkin and fixing his shirt. He went behind the bar and served himself a drink. Then out came Maria, and her walk was clumsy. Sophia and her musicians began with their second set, and the music was louder this time. As Maria got closer and closer, I noticed new wrinkles on her dress. It didn't fit her evenly, at least not the way it had looked before she went to the washroom. She sat down on her chair. Her hair was uncombed, and the lipstick on her lips was no longer there. Oh, I feel so relieved, Oscar. You don't know how relaxed I feel. I can imagine, I told her, feeling insecure and jealous toward the waiter. Oh my God, I had forgotten about my food. Wow, I feel so drunk, you don't even know. I reached under the table and started feeling her long, smooth legs. Through my fingers, the memory ran of all the times my hands had rediscovered her firm, tanned legs that had always led me to her melting gold. But now they were a bit sweaty. I worked my hand up her outer thighs, felt on her ass, and I didn't feel her panties. She was wearing it when we left the hotel, but now she wasn't. Maybe the waiter was the one wearing them now. Maria was devouring her quesadilla, and her forehead was starting to sweat. Without saying a word, I got up from the table and started towards the women's restroom. The waiter was still behind the bar, drying his face and neck. I could feel him looking at me as I made my way into the little hall. I swung the door open, walked in. There were two young women fixing their hair and makeup in front of a long mirror. Don't mind me, ladies. I'm just looking for my wife's underwear, I told them, as I knelt down on the tile floor to look under the 3 toilets behind them. And there it was, just the way I had thought it would be. I got up on my feet and walked over to the last door, opened it, and there it was on the floor. I picked it up, and it was ripped. It had been ripped off her beautiful body. There was a used condom floating inside the toilet. Took a deep breath, smiled, and walked out of there. The 2 women were looking at me through the mirror. One of them turned around and asked me, "What are you going to do to her?" The other turned around and waited to hear what I was going to say. I looked at them for a moment. "Well, what are you going to do to her? Are you going to divorce that bitch or what?" said the one that had asked me before. "Look at him, Rebecca. I think he's going to cry," said the same girl. "Are you okay, sir?" Rebecca asked. She looked concerned. They both wanted to take care of me. A man didn't know what he had until he lost it. I knew I had lost her. Maria was no good. Out of all the women I had dated and fallen in love with, I had to marry Maria. I had always been doubtful of those that told me they loved me. I never really trusted that love they felt for me. Somehow I felt they were sleeping with other men while they were sleeping with me. For some strange alien reason, when I decided to marry Maria, I felt sure. I believed in her. I felt lucky. My friends envied me. I enjoyed showing her around because I knew she loved me. She had told me so. Her friends had told me so. But now I was here, in a woman's restroom, with her ripped panty in my hand. Broken in half. Disappointed, feeling 10% human. I looked at the girls and walked out of there without saying a word. Do you want me to stop now? Because I need a second, or Kleenex or something. Came out of the hall, looked to my right. The waiter was still there behind the bar. I could tell he was waiting for me to come out. He looked curious. He seemed ready to fight, but I had no beef with him. If I would have been in his shoes, I would have probably done the same thing. Maria was not an ordinary woman. Perfect proportions, beautiful face. I couldn't blame the guy. He had done what he had to. I ignored him as I walked. Maria was still there. Sophia was still there. The music was still loud. As I approached the table, I thought about my food. Thinking about it made me sick. I sat next to Maria. She had already eaten her quesadilla and half of mine as well. Where did you go? I missed you. Come on, let's get out of here. Where are we going? Back to the hotel. I want to show you something. I don't want to go to the hotel right now. Let's stay a little longer, she said to me, almost begging. No, we need to go now, Maria. Get up from that chair. I signaled the waiter, and he sent another waiter with the bill. I paid him cash. He took the money and left. You're not going to tip him? Maria asked. I looked at her straight in the eye, then started toward the entrance door. Maria followed me. As we walked, I heard the music stop. I turned my head and searched for Sophia. Just about everyone now stood and whistled and put their hands together for the lovely woman on stage. I kept on walking. The waiter was there behind the bar. I caught him smiling at Maria. I turned to look at her, and she was smiling and waving goodbye. I swung the door open, and now we were out in the open, only a block away from the hotel. Maria followed me. We didn't talk. The moon was still out. The stars were still there. I reached into my right front pants pocket, and her ripped panty was still there. It was dark on the streets. The street lights were out, but I was no longer in the dark. I'd finally seen the light. I tried to swallow, but I couldn't. I still had knots in my throat. I thought about the mezcal bottle in our hotel room. I thought about the worm that sat in the bottom of the bottle. No worries, no betrayals, no nothing. I needed to be inside that bottle. The first thing Maria did when we got to our room was vomit in the toilet. She drank too much, and now all those margaritas, along with the quesadillas, were inside the toilet, about to get flushed. Right after vomiting, she got in the shower for a moment. She came out. I handed her a towel. I watched her dry her body. With her eyes closed, she walked up to the bed and got under the sheets. I was sitting on the edge of the bed. I looked at my watch, and it was already 1 a.m. I took off my shoes, undressed, got under the sheets next to Maria, and thought about Sophia. Maria started to snore. I closed my eyes and tried to fall asleep, but I knew I wouldn't be able to. Now I really had to go meet Sophia at 5 a.m.
Is this thing on?
He started by saying that this was a dream, that it was very surreal. And I got to tell you, I've known Oscar for a very long time, and this has also been a dream of mine, to see my friend publish his poetry, to see my friend connect and get his stuff out there. And I'm really proud of this man. And he's an amazing writer. And I love you, Oscar.
Thank you. All right. Let's continue, because I know time is running. I want to bring up Josh with a beautiful poem that he chose from the book. And Josh, thank you.
Oscar asked me to read a poem, and I saw one with a title that really sort of connects with me, called Ananda. So I'm going to read Ananda. I wanted to read the preface because I was really moved by that preface. I don't know if you all read it, but it was sort of like, something about it really touched me because it was very authentic. But we're going to go with Ananda because that's how we roll. Ananda. Suddenly I noticed you again as I wrote. The red dress embraced your body as you walked by me in a rush. As I wrote, you caught me glancing at you, leaving you no choice but to look back at me for a split second and share with me your immaculate smile. As I wrote, the red scarlet theme of the night had been altered by the full moon's light, making a faint shadow that followed you softly everywhere. I followed you both. I wrote the entire night about lovers lost and found, about forbidden kisses hiding, about the pain we feel when one loves too much, too late, or too soon, about the unforgiving compromise of love made out in the open, with the moonlit love shining on our skin, about the embraceable red dress you wore that night and how it matched so well with your moonlit smile. Thanks.
All right. I'd like to invite William over to read from the book. Hey, William.
Oscar, congratulations, man. This is victory. This is beautiful. I'm so happy to be able to be here and share this with you. So this was the first, when I opened this book, this was the first thing I came to. And I like it. It's got kind of a noir quality to it. And I'm going to try to do it, you know, it's Oscar Fuentes. This is a true story of something that happened to Oscar many, many years ago when he was tending bar. And the title is The Devil That Feeds My Ego. I was at the bar today for 13 hours serving drinks. The phone rang. Hello? Is this Oscar? Perhaps. What do you mean perhaps? Are you or are you not? All right, you got me. Now what's the deal? Who the hell is this? This is Satan. What? That's right, Satan, the devil, Lucifer, whatever works for you. How may I help you? No, the question is, how can you help yourself? Oh, I see then. Suck ass, Satan. I hung up and grabbed the small kitchen knife I had under the bar, started cutting the phone line extension cord. It took me a while to cut it, but it was cut. And then I realized I could have just disconnected it instead. And then I started asking myself, was I really the devil? Then some guy came with a glass eye, came up to the side of the bar where I was and said to me, "A scotch with water, please." I poured it really strong. I didn't want him to come back around here flashing that eye, scaring my tips away, so I told him, "Look, buddy, I just gave you 10 straight lines of that scotch, so you can sit there in that corner quietly, take small sips, and take in your time with the drink, okay?" Huh? You scare people with that glass eyes of yours, buddy. Seriously, you do. What, are you scratching my balls? Look, brother, let me put it to you this way. I need to make some good tips tonight. And if you're going to be hanging around here with that horrible-looking eye of yours, you're going to scare off my customers. He scratched his elbows. He scratched his left knee. Then he scratched his nose, his belly, his butt. And there was no doubt this guy was a nutcase. He winked at me with his good eye. The other eye reflected horror. He walked away slowly, and his walk was clumsy as hell. As soon as he walked away towards his little corner, the phone rang again. It rang twice. It rang 3 times, but it wasn't connected, and I didn't answer it. And after a while, it stopped ringing. I poured myself a scotch with a splash of water, took it all in one gulp, and the phone rang again. I answered it. "Yeah? Your time is running out, Oscar. Out, out, out." "Satan, is this you again?" "Yeah." "Good. I'm glad you called me again. Listen, why don't you stop by and have a drink with me?" "I'll be there in a minute." I hung up the phone by placing it back on its cradle, and the phone line was still cut, and little small electrical sparks were sparking right on the ends that were cut. Everything started shaking. The wall, the floors, the ceiling, the bar, the bottles were shaking. Some of them fell onto the floor, and none of them broke. I was confused. An earthquake in Miami? Then it hit me. It was the devil. He said he was coming over. Who else could it be? The shaking stopped. Suddenly my heart started beating a little faster. I looked around, and I didn't see anyone that looked like the devil. But what did the devil look like? I searched around once again, and I noticed the guy with the glass eye sitting at his corner, sipping his scotch. My heart was still beating fast as cold sweat was now sliding down both sides of my forehead. Then everything started shaking again. The bottles, the walls, the ceiling, and there he was, standing right in front of me, on the other side of the bar, looking as if he wanted to order something to drink. Satan, I asked. Yeah, he replied, almost whispering. I asked him to make the shaking stop, and the shaking stopped. Then he said with a smile, I love making an entrance. 666? Why? I asked him. Because 665 other demons had auditioned and none of them did it well enough for the honor. He answered as if he had answered that same question a billion times before. He wasn't bad looking, he was actually beautiful, so I asked him, why don't you go into show business? You got the looks. Been there, done that, and I hated it. And I hate talking about it. Let me pour you a strong one, I told him. Yeah, why don't you pour me 10 lines of each one of those bottles? You got it, I replied. I gave him exactly what he wanted, 10 lines of each of my bottles, and I had lots of them. I gave him his drink, and he took it all in one hit. He looked a little depressed. Give me 2 more of those, he demanded. I worked on his drinks and passed them over to him. He grabbed them and slammed them both, one after the other. Why me, I asked him. Why you what? Why me? Why did you come looking for me? I asked him again. Oh, well, you're the only one around here that doesn't fear me, he said. After hearing that, I didn't say a word to him. I stayed quiet for an unmeasured moment. I poured myself another scotch, and I took it down in one hit. Almost choked on it. My eyes got watery and heavy, and I felt brave again. Never before in my life did I feel so brave. I felt invincible. I felt like kicking Satan's ass right there on the spot. But first I wanted to make sure the reason why he feared me, so I asked him, what the fuck makes you fear me? Your genius. I fear your genius. Fair enough, Satan, I agreed. This angel from hell really knew how to feed my ego. Still, my genius wasn't enough for him to fear me. I felt he was being extremely nice, and I didn't want to tell him, and he didn't want to tell me why he really feared me. You know what, Satan? What? I'm not really convinced you fear my genius. I think there's something else you're not telling me. You're just too much, Oscar. You're right. There's something else I'm not telling you. So what is it? You see, Oscar, I've been following your life story ever since you were born. And since that day of your birth, you've been the brightest of them all. And now, at the age of 35, without you even knowing it, you've written masterpieces that will someday, soon, make you immortal, he told me. Why are you being so nice to me, huh? Aren't you supposed to all be mean and evil? I don't know, Satan. I have a feeling you're scratching my balls. Right after I told him that, he just stood there in a pensive way and rolled his bloodshot eyes to the left and then around to the right and said, all right, you got me again. I'll tell you the reason why I came here. First of all, I wanted to have a couple free drinks. Second, you're fearless. You don't fear anything, not even me. Very true, I replied. And at the same time thinking, damn, this Satan guy makes me feel $1 million worth. And then he said it. Oscar, I need your help. What is it? Well, about 2 days ago, a woman I know asked me for a favor. She asked me to give her immortality and money, lots of money. And I told her that she was asking for what she was asking for had a price. And she told me she would do anything I wanted her to do. So I told her that she needed to go on 6 dates with me for 6 nights. And each one of those nights, I would make love to her 6 times until sunrise. Is she a looker? She's a knockout, Oscar. And she didn't have a problem with the conditions I gave her. So what do you need from me? Yeah, well, I'm going to need you to take over my duties for me. Your duties? What kind of duties? Well, for the next 6 nights, I'm going to be showing her the amusement park I have down in hell. Amusement park? Yeah, that's right. And a few of those nights, I'm going to be taking her to this little love shack I got right at the core of the moon. Right inside the moon, huh? That's right, baby. I want you to take care of all my duties here on Earth. Yeah, but Oscar, don't sweat it. All you have to do is answer every call, tell anybody who calls that I'm out on vacation, and to leave a message. That's it? That's it. Are you sure? Why should I Why should I lie to you? Because you're Satan. Good answer, but you're safe, Oscar. No need to worry, he said with a smile. What's in it for me? Whatever you want, he said. How do I know you're going to keep your word? I asked him. Stop being a bitch about it, Oscar, and just do it and you'll get your reward. I didn't respond to that comment. For some reason, I trusted him. He had fed my ego long enough for me to like him, and I felt extremely flattered that he had asked me for the favor. We just both stood there across from each other, not saying a word. I poured him another round of scotch. He drank half of it. He placed the glass on the surface of the bar counter, and then he pointed it to it with his finger. I looked at the shot glass, then I looked at him, and with his eyes, he offered me the scotch that was left in the sweaty glass, and I drank it. I took out a pack of Camels I hid under the bar and lit one. You're a badass, Oscar, he said with a spark in his mind-reading eyes. I know. I answered him. So what's it going to be, Biscayne poet? 6 nights? Yeah, 6 nights. All right, I'll do it. You're a good sport, Oscar. Don't worry, I'll hook you up, he said. And with that, he disappeared. I had knots in my throat. My ego was still pumped. I'd poured myself another scotch. I noticed the guy with the glass eye got up from his corner, and his walk was clumsier. He walked right by me and exited the door. I took all the scotch in one gulp, and I didn't even feel it. My ego was pumped. I was still brave, braver than ever. I still couldn't believe that Satan had come all the way from hell, just asked me for a favor, just for him to get a piece of that human ass he wanted. The bastard sure knew how to feed my ego.
All right, all right. All right, well, we have one more poem that I would like to share with you, and my friend Lisa is going to read it. And after that, I'm going to sign some books for you guys. And the combo is going to play some Latin music for you while we sign the books. Right?
Hello, everyone. I'd like to dedicate this effort to all the amazing, very dedicated single fathers, especially Oscar Fuentes. For those of you who know him, he's not only a outrageously, amazingly talented poet, he is also an amazing single father. Much respect. I must feel happy. I must feel happy for all the happy people. This happy feeling will take me to the next stage. My son and my daughter will learn from me, and the 3 of us will be happy, accepting the world as it is. My happiness is the happiness of my kids, and the happiness of my kids is the happiness of the innocent forest. There, all things that exist feel happiness without even knowing it. The happy forest is within my kids and me. The universe is within my kids and me. The sun is with my mother and with the mothers of my son and daughter as well. The world is filled with love. The happiness of the people comes from within the earth. The green forest is filled with earthly love. The beating heart of my son is the beating heart of the green forest, the mother of us all. It beats within our hearts like the beating of a goatskin drum. Thank you.
We get another round of applause for Oscar Fuentes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Oscar. Thanks to all your guests, your musicians, to all of you for being here. We have the books for sale behind the counter, of course. Oscar will sit right here and sign them for you. Please stick around. Of course, if you're watching online, give us a call. We'll get one signed for you. We've got live music outside. We got beer. We got wine. We got food. We got poetry. It doesn't get much better than this. Thank you so much for coming.